Well, while the Democrats call our ICE agents terrorists, we found an actual real-life terrorist in Louisiana living among us. Came up probably through the southern border, but I'm not positive of that, but I'll go into the whole news on this. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Shout out to the Quad Club, the people that watch all three videos. This one is a single-wide video, guys. It's normal. Sorry about that. I got stuff to do today. It's Saturday. I'm going to the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference with Doug Wilson, and my pastor is also speaking with him, my pastor, Dr. George Grant, and they'll be on Cross Politic. But man, I've had a blast with those guys. They're very dear friends of mine. And my pastor, Dr. George Grant, is the painting that I'm doing over there. Anyways, let's get to the terrorist stuff. Let's get to the news. Here we go. Watch this.
Fox News alert the FBI arresting an alleged October 7th attacker living in Louisiana. Federal prosecutors say the 33-year-old man took part in the Hamas attack on Israel, then traveled to the U.S. on a fraudulent visa.
Okay, so it wasn't through the southern border. It was the fraudulent visa thing, which is under the Biden administration, they handed out visas to anyone. Given they said that he participated in that October 7th massacre in Israel, and that's Hamas, this guy could have performed some of the most heinous acts against women and children and hostages. So this is super shocking that they found him in Louisiana. Arrested him. Good. Lock him up.
Our correspondent Jonathan Seri has more on what we're learning. Jonathan.
Yeah, Sandra, he was living here in the U.S. legally, at least on paper. Investigators say he lied on his visa application by failing to disclose his alleged connections to paramilitary groups. He was living in Lafayette, Louisiana. His name is Mahmoud al-Matadi. And according to the...
Mahmoud, okay. What was your first hint?
Criminal complaint filed in U.S. District Court. Evidence shows that on the morning of October 7, 2023, al-Matadi learned about the Hamas invasion, armed himself, gathered others, and crossed into Israel with the intention of assisting with Hamas's terrorist attack.
So he doesn't have to be a formal terrorist. You guys got to realize this happened a lot on that October 7th thing. When the official terrorists of Hamas, they came in on the paragliders and they took their 1,500. It was a massacre. They just slaughtered people, took all these innocent, unarmed civilians. Well, what bubbled up was among the normal people living there, the normal Gazans, civilians that vote for Hamas to put them in office all the time. And they were cheering on the terrorists because they hate Israel so much. Some of their normal civilians armed themselves and joined in the attack. That's why it was so hard for anyone in Gaza to escape. They had so many volunteers, and they were often coming out of Israel even. These are Palestinians that live in Israel, just to clarify that.
That coordinated assault involved rape, torture, kidnapping, and the deaths of 1,200 people. Investigators say al-Matadi's phone used a cell tower located near Kibbutz Kfar Aza, the location of one of the worst massacres in that attack on Israel. The court filing also includes social media photos that investigators say shows al-Matadi wearing the red headband of the National Resistance Brigades, or NRB, a Gaza-based paramilitary group. It also includes a transcript of a phone call in which al-Matadi allegedly tells another man, quote, "If things go the way they should, Syria will take part, Lebanon will take part, and it's going to be a third world war."
So they were monitoring his texts and they got him. That's our FBI, maybe our CIA doing their job, which is great. But he was here in America, guys, overstaying a sloppy visa. There's a ton of illegals that are this way, too. They lied on their application, didn't announce that they're in a paramilitary group. This is also why Trump designated Tren de Agua a terrorist group and Antifa a terrorist group. You're able to surveil their phone calls. You're able to declare them, because they're declared like an official enemy of the United States. It gives us an ability to track them better, root them out from among us. And if there's one guy, hopefully he'll rat out all the other guys that are here as part of his network.
Sandra, al-Matadi is currently being held in Louisiana at the St. Martin Parish Correctional Center as this case unfolds. Back to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jonathan. John.
All right, let's bring in Trey Gowdy, host of Sunday Night in America, for more on this. Here's what the FBI said in part in a statement. Quote, evidence shows that on the morning of October 7, 2023, al-Muqtadi learned about the Hamas invasion, armed himself, gathered others, and crossed into Israel with the intention of assisting in Hamas's terrorist attack.
He's a civilian. He wasn't even paid to do this. He was so happy about it, he volunteered.
Evidence further shows that al-Muqtadi provided false information in his U.S. visa application relating to his involvement with the paramilitary organization, connection to Hamas, participation in a terrorist attack, and military training. Now in custody, but you got to wonder, how'd this guy get into the country?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Trey.
Oh, I don't wonder. He probably came through a pretty porous southern border, or else he lied on a visa. But that's the least of his problems, John. His real problem is the close working relationship between Mossad and the CIA with John Ratcliffe and Shin Bet, which is the Israeli law enforcement, and our FBI and Kash Patel. And I'll just tell anyone involved in the Hamas attack on October the 7th, you need to sleep with one eye open at least as long as Ratcliffe is at the CIA and Patel is at the FBI. It's been over 2 years. They just found him. They're not going to stop looking. Just like we didn't stop looking after 9/11, Israel and the U.S. are not going to stop looking for you. And if you had anything to do with that barbaric attack, they're going to find you. Am I surprised it's Lafayette, Louisiana? I am. Home of Jeff Landry. Speaking of,
that's a better cover to me to be in Louisiana. They wouldn't think to look for him there. He's not going to go to New York.
Former prosecutors, but Kash and John, both former U.S. attorneys, they're not going to stop until everyone that was involved is brought to justice.
This is important work that Kash Patel's doing. This is why I said that it was a complete distraction to go after the Epstein files, because you have terrorists walking among us. Now, I'm bringing up this clip from a couple days ago because the Democrat Party said that Tom Homan and his ICE agents were terrorists. So they call Tom Homan and our ICE agents terrorists while they let in real, actual terrorists over our border.
The men and women of ICE, they're mothers and fathers too. They don't hang their heart on a hook when they come to work every day. They put themselves in harm's way to go look for the worst of the worst. And we got hateful rhetoric not only coming from governors and mayors who are pushing a false narrative, but members of Congress who are comparing them to terrorists and Nazis. And bottom line is, if ICE is Nazis for enforcing immigration law, what's that make them? They wrote the law. ICE isn't making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress that they're funded to do. It's the same thing we've done for decades. I started in 1984. The difference is the last 4 years, there was no immigration enforcement. ICE agents were told not to enforce law. Border Patrol agents were processing people and releasing them in the country, not securing the border. Now that we're back to doing business, back to securing this nation and making this country safe again, people on the left are going nuts. The data speaks for itself. God bless the men and women of ICE and the Border Patrol. I love each and every one of them because they're stepping. How many of you all want to put a gun on your hip and stand on a dirt trail at 3 o'clock in the morning? When a sensor goes off, is it just an illegal alien looking for a better life? Or is it a heavily armed drug smuggler? They don't know, but they're going to stand there and take it on. These are brave men and women who love America, and I love each and every one of them.
I like this story because he talks about the danger they go through. Well, just imagine, like he said, if you're going down a trail at 3 o'clock in the morning looking for a terrorist, and Trey Gowdy said that October 7th terrorist that's in Louisiana could have been coming up a trail. Now, this is a guy who armed himself on October 7th and walked in to volunteer for Hamas to wipe out more Jews. That guy is the kind of guy that ICE agents could come across, someone with military training, someone who could be heavily armed with illegal weapons. And you have the Democrats calling the ICE agents trying to bust that guy. They're calling the ICE agents terrorists. That's my beef. Kash Patel's doing an incredible job with his FBI. We're going to get back to Trey Gowdy here.
Lafayette, Louisiana. Governor Jeff Landry, by the way, Trey just posted this on his Twitter account. Justice will be served. Perhaps this is Louisiana lockup's newest resident. Perhaps that's the case.
Yeah, he's going to jail.
Louisiana is beautiful. I would probably rather be there than sent back to Israel. But that's always an option. Send them back to the country that they victimized. Look, like I said, his visa issues are the least of his problems.
And I guarantee you, if they export this guy back to an Israeli prison, which, by the way, I don't know if they have to release him as part of that peace deal. Do they get to hold new terrorists? Because they had to release a bunch of October 7th guys as part of the Trump peace deal. They had to release, remember, Israel released hundreds of murderers and Hamas released a bunch of peaceful civilian Jews. That was the trade. One side released peaceful civilians and the other side released proven hardened murderers. So now if Israel puts this guy in prison, do they have an obligation to release him as part of that deal? If they do, then we need to keep him here in a prison to do Israel a favor.
There's some not so nice prisons in Louisiana. His future is looking very bleak, but that's also true for anyone that has not also been apprehended. Ratcliffe and Patel are going to work with their Israeli counterparts as long as they're in office, period, full stop. If you're involved in the October 7th attack, sleep with one eye open.
Yeah, in announcing these arrests, here's what the Attorney General Pam Bondi said, quote, after hiding out in the United States, his monster has been found and charged with participating in the atrocities of October 7th, the single deadliest day for Jewish people since the Holocaust. While nothing can fully heal the scars left by Hamas's brutal attack, this department's Joint Task Force, October 7, is dedicated to finding and prosecuting those responsible for that horrific day, including the murder of dozens of American citizens. I mean, this task force is going to continue. Maybe this is just the first person to be unearthed.
There's definitely more coming. These guys never go alone. You can tell me in the chat below if you think this guy was alone. He's the only one. He, by himself, left and with no contact, because they have his phone. They have all of the data on his phone. That's every phone call, every text he's made. He came all the way over here, either through the border or flying in through a visa, an illegal visa, lying on his application. And you guys think he didn't contact anyone else and he ends up in Louisiana? I don't think so. I think this is the first of many of such people that have made it over here. Remember, they brought it up. Over a dozen Americans were killed and made hostage in that October 7th thing.
I hope so. And Pam, A.G. Bonnie raises a really good point. It was not just Israelis that were victimized on that day. There were people from all over the world, including the United States, that were, I mean, children, women. I mean, it was equivalent to our 9/11. We spent 20 years finding out who was responsible for that. Israel is going to spend at least that long.
I don't know about you, but number one, I'm happy Kash Patel is on this instead of on the Epstein files. He and Dan Bongino are out getting actual murderous bad guys. That guy is a sleeper cell just waiting in Louisiana, and we got him. And they're going to get There's more of them here to do actual damage. The other thing is Pam Bondi, as the Department of Justice, is going to be in charge of actually busting them. This person's going to get some kind of a maximum sentence here, and then they'll negotiate with Israel what they actually want to do with the guy. That is, what is the course of action that'll give him the most trouble? I'd like to hear what you guys think of that. We got more videos to come for the Quad Club. Thanks for watching. And of course, I'm here to serve you just the most important news there is. I'm not into shenanigans. I'm not into false titles. I'm here to present you guys with the need to know information that is actually significant to building up the Trump administration and tearing down the Democrat Party, which is not only my hobby, I feel like it's my job. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe.